A very good evening to all of you. Welcome to the daily news analysis by Tathastu ICS. I am Umang and today I'll be taking the DNA session. So a very good evening to all the students who are joining. Right, before moving ahead, this is the QR code for the Telegram channel. You can scan and join the Telegram channel. There you will find access to the PDF that we are discussing in the session or the important articles that we are going to cover from the newspaper today. Okay, so this is the front page of today's newspaper, right? So our neighbor has a new PM, so and specifically the first women PM. That's the headlines that is there. Okay, then let's come to the articles that we are going to cover. Good evening to all the students who have joined. Right, let's quickly come through the articles that we are covering. So first is Karki is Nepal's first women prime minister. Okay, that is the first headlines that was there. Then second article is India's manuscripts reflect the journey of humanity. Okay, it is talking about the preservation and the protection for the manuscripts. Now manuscripts are important, right, because they are holding the key to the secrets of the ancient Indian history, science and all the other diverse fields, right. Then India votes in favor of the UNGA resolution on the Palestinian state. Then denying the upward mobility to candidates with disabilities defeats the purpose of quota. That is one thing that has been mentioned. Okay, that's what the Supreme Court is saying. Then Kerala capital to host 2-day blue economy conclave. That is another small article talking about the blue economy and specifically important from the coastal ecosystem perspective. Okay, then scam space is related to the AI misuse that is happening. And last editorial, that is the RTI's shift to right to deny information. Okay, from right to information, it is saying right to deny information, how that shift is happening. Okay, so let's just quickly go through the articles. This is the first one, right? So there's nothing much to memorize. Of course, this is just a fact that you need to be aware what's happening in India's neighborhood. So we know that there was a massive protest that was happening there and we had covered that previously in the article. Okay, what were the reasons of the protest that was happening by the Gen Z and the youth of Nepal, right, due to the social media ban. Of course, in light of that, there were other major issues also, corruption issues and the Nepo kids issues that we had discussed previously. So as of now, Ram Chandra Podel, who is administering the oath to Sushila Karki as the new or the new new Prime Minister of Nepal. Okay, and she is the first women PM of Nepal, right. So that's about her, and she was also the first women Chief Justice of Nepal also. Okay, so this is just for the fact. Then let's move to the next article. This is the article that was there and we can see our Honorable PM who is visiting the International Conference on Manuscripts that happened in Delhi. International Conference on Manuscripts. Okay, manuscripts, you know, the handwritten documents. Okay, and these manuscripts are very important when we talk about when we were studying history. जब आप history पढ़ते हो, that time these manuscripts are holding so many important facts. ठीक है, कितने सारे important facts, कितनी पुरानी हमारी histories उन manuscripts से हमें पता चलती है. In fact, not only history, there are different fields as well. For example, about Ayurveda, about science, a lot of things we get to know only from the manuscripts, right? Now it's a very important responsibility कि हम इन manuscripts को protect करें, we protect them, right? So here we can see this conference is happening in Delhi. So here the Honorable PM has talked about what that we need to make a digital repository of the manuscripts, okay, so that we can have a database of all the important manuscripts in the that we are having in the country. Almost there are 1 crore collection of manuscripts in India, and out of that almost 10 lakh have been already digitized. We have converted them into digital form, so that the information that it is having, the traditional information, the traditional important facts or knowledge that is there in those manuscripts, that is not lost, it is always preserved. Okay, so the PM Modi on Friday batted for digitization of India's ancient manuscripts and creation of a database to store them, right? It happened at the International Conference on Reclaiming India's Knowledge Legacy through Manuscript Heritage, and this is majorly a part of a bigger project that is called, the project name is the Gyan Bharatam Mission. Gyan Bharatam. Okay, this is a almost 400 crore project. Okay, that is also talking about establishing a body just like what we have the Archaeological Survey of India, usi ke jaise we will try to have establish a body. So this is the entire project under which we will be doing the manuscript protection. Also there is a Gyan Bharatam portal that has been made, that's basically a dedicated digital repository and a platform to digitalize and preserve the ancient Indian manuscripts. Okay, so you can, this is the only thing that needs to be learned from this article, right? So this is important from your GS paper 1 of history. Of course, then GS paper 2 also, the government initiatives specifically about protecting the culture and the traditions. Okay, then coming to next important, just for the fact that yes, India has voted in the United Nations General Assembly resolution on the Palestinian issue. So what has India voted? India has voted, it has endorsed the New York Declaration, and it is talking, as we can assume, that what India always does, hum hamesha baat karte hain that we should have a peaceful settlement of the Palestinian issue, and we need to and the implementation of the two-state solution. So India has voted for that. Okay, and in the declaration the leaders also agreed to take collective action so that we can end this war that is happening in Gaza, okay, and the Israeli and the Palestinian cities, right? So that is what does, you just need to know what India has done, right? Then coming to the next article, denying the upward mobility to candidates with disability defeats the purpose of quota. This is what the Supreme Court is saying. Now, Supreme Court in a judgment on Friday asked the central government to clarify ki how many candidates who were very meritorious or who were very talented, how many of them were, and also they were disabled or differently abled, and they were allowed to move ahead. Okay, they are saying what कि अगर हम उनकी categorization को ना देखें and we just take consideration of the merit of their or their qualifications, how many of them could have been moved ahead, so that जो reservation हमने रखा था that could have been received to a person who was more deserving or who was not educationally that sound but he was also differently abled. So that they have asked, and they are saying that because a person who is already meritorious also and differently abled also, such people are, if they are there in the system or in the chain, if they are there, तो होता ये है कि जो उससे नीचे वाले जो लोग हैं उनको कभी मौका नहीं मिल पाता, who might be more vulnerable as well comparing it to the disability that they are having. So that kind of stagnation of a candidate with disability defeats the very purpose of the reservation under the section 34 of the Rights of Persons with Disability Act, right? So that what they have asked. So they are saying that the top court is asking the union government to tell us that what all steps are you taking to ensure the upward movement of such people. Such people meaning those people or those candidates who were meritorious also and they were disabled, they were having certain disability also. So क्या government वो steps, क्या steps ले रही है उनके लिए central government कि वो आगे move ahead करे in the ladder so that the others can get the opportunity and those who are more deserving, right? So they are also saying that rather than Viewing this disability as a deficit requiring correction, the law must recognize it as a lens which reveals the true nature of legal, social, institutional frameworks, right? Illuminating whether they embrace human diversity or create barriers that include members of society, right? So this is what that question has been asked by the Supreme Court from, and this question has been raised to the central government or the union government. Okay. So this is from the vulnerable sections, important, right? And specifically people belonging to people who are differently abled. उस section से ये important है, and from your society paper also. Okay. Then there is another news. They are saying that Kerala capital to host 2-day blue economy conclave. Blue economy meaning, anyone who can tell me the meaning of blue economy? Charita, Ekta, what is the meaning of blue economy? Anyone? क्या है blue economy का मतलब? किसी को भी नहीं पता है? How is that possible? Okay, let's come. So blue economy, what are they? First, let's just cover this. What are they saying? That the Kerala is organizing a 2-day conclave, and that's on the blue economy. And there will be dignitaries coming from the European Union. Okay, people are coming from European Union, and other participants are also coming, right? Specifically, and the union government is also there. Related to fisheries, Roshni, very good. Akshat, very good. The economy that is thriving due to the coastal communities, or the livelihood that is dependent on the coastal communities, ठीक है, उसके बेसिस पे जो हमारी इकोनॉमी चल रही है, वहां से जो हमें ट्रेड हो रहा है, वहां से जो हमें हमारी मार्केट्स चल रही है, रिसोर्सेज, यस, इकोनॉमी फ्रॉम दी ओशियनिक रिसोर्सेज, इकोनॉमी फ्रॉम दी फिशरीज, इकोनॉमी फ्रॉम दी कोस्टल एरियाज, ठीक है, वहाँ की जो नेटिव प्रोडक्ट्स हैं, वहाँ से जो हमारे कुछ चीज़ें मिल रही हैं, फिशेस हो गए, ठीक है, और कुछ चीज़ें जो यूनिक हैं जो वहाँ पर मिलती हों, तो उनके थ्रू जो हमारी इकोनॉमी का पार्ट that is contributing to the GDP of the country, that is called the blue economy. But on the other hand, the coastal areas also are very important from the perspective of climate regulation, right? So these areas are very, very crucial because they are also providing us many ecosystem services. बहुत सारी ecosystem services हमें मिलती हैं, ठीक है? For example, the mangroves, right? The tourism is also one more area where we are, that's also a part of the blue economy. So ecosystem services, carbon sequestration कर रहे हैं, ठीक है, carbon sequestration होता है, ठीक है. Then we have flood control, they act as buffer against tsunami or floods, soil erosion को prevent करना, ठीक है. Then biodiversity जो वहाँ पर रहती है, the amount of the species that are living, the livelihood of the local people. So all of these are the areas, that's the significance of the coastal areas, and they are very crucial, they need to be protected, and we have to ensure that our activities do not lead to their degradation, right? So what all can we learn? Then we have all the ships that are moving, we have big ships, we are having the trade that is happening through the oceans. Now all of that has lot of impact on the aquatic organisms and the aquatic ecosystems as well. So we have to ensure that our economic practices are sustainable, and that is what we can learn from the European nation countries. So Kerala is also one of the coastal states of India, and it has lot of ecosystem, it has lot of lakes are there, backwaters are there, right, and important areas. Now there, what will we learn? हम यहाँ से सीखेंगे क्या? जैसे कि यूरोपियन यूनियन में, if we see, there are so many countries. For example, Hamburg में जो पोर्ट है, Hamburg port. From this Hamburg port, what we can learn? They are having a very good mechanism of circular economy, of reducing the wastage from the ports. Okay, then they are having real-time monitoring of the port systems. So all of these things, how can we minimize the pollution from the ports that are there. So all of these things, for these expertise they are meeting, right? So that is blue economy, and it's very important part of the overall economy of the country. Okay, then there will be all the executives coming from France, Hungary, Denmark, Bulgaria, Germany, Romania, all these countries would be there, right? Then coming to the next article. Now, next article is important from your CS paper 3, Science and Tech, and of course artificial intelligence, AI, and specifically AI's misuse. Okay, now you all must have seen the latest trend that is coming. Okay, Germany, yes, the Hamburg port, very good. Right now we are talking about the digital economy also. अभी हमने blue economy की बात करी. Now let's come to digital economy. So here they are saying that monitoring this digital economy or policing of this digital economy is not very easy. Okay, so they are saying the policing of the digital economy requires what might seem disproportionate resources, and highlighting the recent case of Hyderabad. So what happened? यहाँ पर Hyderabad में what happened? There was a case where a person got into a fraud of 20 lakh rupees by seeing a footage of the finance minister Nirmala Sitharaman where she was endorsing some kind of a scheme. ठीक है, तो उसमें उस वीडियो में it was the finance minister was being shown and she was like talking about that scheme, and that person, that doctor, a well learned person, got scammed by watching that video. Now that was a deep fake video. Okay, and these videos you have seen in circulation, and specifically if we talk about all the social media platforms, they are flooded with certain videos like this. Okay, and they are moving all around these platforms. So this has come up to be a new threat for the country and for the people. Now imagine अगर एक बहुत well learned इंसान इस चीज में फ्रॉड में फंस सकते हैं, तो जो लोकल, जो बिल्कुल रूरल एरियाज में लोग हैं जिनको उतनी नॉलेज नहीं है about how to use the smartphone or whether this video is of AI or not, they will also get scammed by such videos, right? Then what are the issues? Of course, this is a new use of AI intelligence that is happening. That is one thing. There is the limited response by the social media platforms. जो सोशल मीडिया प्लेटफॉर्म्स है वो बहुत लिमिटेड रिस्पॉन्स ले रहे हैं. ठीक है, दैट हैज बीन मेंशन्ड हियर. व्हाई? बिकॉज व्हाट हैपेंस, वी आर रिपोर्टिंग द केस एंड स्टिल इवन आफ्टर प्रोसेसिंग it takes time and that video is still there. Okay, for example, if you have reported the issue, you report it today, and even after reporting it takes time for that thing to get removed from that social media platform, and by that time that video or that person, whoever is handling that, they will make that scam or include utilize, मतलब बहुत सारे ऐसे लोगों को वो all fraud बना चुके होंगे तब तक, जब तक वो हटेगा या रिमूव होगा. ठीक है, that is one thing. Complaints are arising only after the attempts to withdraw returns are blocked. Public awareness campaigns जो है वो uneven है, and in fact वो बहुत general है. Vulnerable जो लोग हैं उन तक तो वो public information जा ही नहीं रही है. Social media platforms की बात करें, which serve as the principal channel of these scams, often respond passively. That is what I am telling. ठीक है, companies like Instagram, they publish advisories. ठीक है, fraudulent videos and account remain accessible until removed. So those accounts still remain active for a longer time, and the time is sufficient enough कि वो और लोगों को भी उस चीज में फंसा दें या उसको misuse कर दें. ठीक है, then the result of this deepfake scams are treated as individual incidents rather than systemic vulnerabilities. Now imagine if you are having, for example, if I was scammed by a person or by watching any video, I complained it. Now I lost 5,000 rupees. मैंने 5,000 रुपए खो दिए. ठीक है, 5,000 रुपए के लिए मैं कंप्लेंट करूंगी, देन वो प्रोसेस होगा. So that becomes a very menial case for the authorities at times. So we kind of see a very callous attitude by the authorities also, and they take it as a very individual case unless and until there's a very hefty or big amount of money that is involved here, right? So it is usually the deep fake scams are treated as individual incidents rather than understanding that these are systemic failures. ये system के failures हैं, ठीक है? Then what measures are necessary? So the writer here is talking about 3 measures. Number 1, first the governments must define the standards for registration, disclosure and cross-border cooperation. Limit the space in which the fraudulent schemes operate. That is first thing. Technical literacy, second thing, should be a public policy priority. मतलब अभी now in this generation it is very important कि हम technical literacy सबको provide करें. Okay, it should be done at a very actively manner by the government. Okay, now you must have seen the radio in the radios also and in the voice calls also when you are calling. Government is trying, ठीक है, authorities are trying to inform the people. Okay, and third, social media platforms should be required to remove this fraudulent content proactively. So these are the suggestions that the writer has given here in the article. Okay, so this is the next article that we have covered related to the scam space. Okay, this is all about the scam space article. And coming to the next editorial, that is here is RTI's shift to right to deny information. ठीक है, तो यहाँ पर इस आर्टिकल में क्या बात कर रहे हैं? We are talking about right to information. So right to information, we know we brought the RTI Act in 2005. 2005 में लेकर आए, ठीक है, कि we have the right to get the information. Okay, so information, now what kind of information shall we get? Very good, Rishi. Okay, what kind of information? Can we give all kind of information to a person? For example, if I am a person, I file an RTI, so will I get all the information that what our honorable PM is doing in the meetings, in the cabinet meetings, what all decisions are being taken? No. ठीक है, इस टाइप के decisions, इस टाइप की information नहीं disclose करी जाएगी, है ना? For example, the information that is important for the national security, okay, related to our missiles, if there is something asked, that cannot be told, right? वो सब चीजें हम नहीं बता सकते. But and also there was a clause related to the good evening Sagar beta, okay, and there was also a clause talking regarding the privacy, okay, or the personal information, right? So here let's just read this article first. What they are saying, that right to information is founded on the principle that in a democracy which is defined as the rule of the people, by the people and for the people, all the information held by the government belongs to the citizen. Defense also, yes, very good, defense, internal security, all these issues, right? So here he is saying, the writer is saying, he is the former Central Information Commissioner, he is saying कि जो भी information in a democratic country like India, the information that is inherently held by the government is inherently belonging to the citizens. जो government है वो सिर्फ as a custodian act करती है on behalf of the people, right? Citizens legitimize their representatives by electing them. However, the act included specific exemptions to protect certain interests, जैसे कि national sovereignty, and on one crucial exemption was on personal information, that is section 8 clause 1 clause J, that was talking about personal information कि हर किसी की भी personal information के लिए आप ऐसे RTI फाइल करोगे तो that cannot be disclosed on the cases of personal information. Okay, so these are the things. Now this section was trying to balance the right to information with the individual privacy. It also stipulated that personal information could be denied. It could be denied only when there was no connection to public activity constituted on unwarranted invasion on the privacy of the individual, and unless there was a large public interest that was there to be received. मतलब पर्सनल इंफॉर्मेशन आप ऐसे नहीं मांग सकते थ्रू एन आरटीआई. ओनली इट कैन बी आस्क्ड व्हेन देयर इज समथिंग वेरी लार्जर, पब्लिक इंटरेस्ट बहुत लार्जर हो, that time we can ask it. Okay, then there is also very important fact that they have mentioned that all the information that is asked or that can be discussed in the parliament or the state legislative assembly, state legislature, that all information cannot be denied to the ordinary citizen. मतलब अगर हम ऐसी कोई भी इंफॉर्मेशन है, जो इंफॉर्मेशन हम पार्लियामेंट के अंदर डिस्कस कर रहे हैं या पार्लियामेंट में या स्टेट लेजिस्लेचर के अंदर डिस्कस हो रही है या वहां पर उनको डिनाई नहीं करी जा रही है, तो वो हम नॉर्मल ऑर्डिनरी सिटीजन्स को भी डिनाई नहीं कर सकते. बट देन वी ऑल्सो हैड द पुट्टास्वामी केस which defined privacy and it acknowledged that privacy का जो meaning है that will keep on changing from time to time. Okay, now the issue here is that while this RTI Act was brought in to bring information for the ordinary citizens that they can file an RTI and they can get the information like whatever, for example कि अगर ये funds थे तो ये किस जगह पे allocate करे नहीं करे, ठीक है. Now after filing the RTI they can get the information on that topic, but what is happening, the authorities, the departments are not cooperating with them and they are making vague excuses. They are also giving the excuse of personal information, that we cannot declare personal information. This is one reason. ठीक है, या तो बोल देते हैं that we cannot give because of that it has some personal information that cannot be disclosed. Then they also mention that there is no designated information officer. Okay, there is no designated information officer there, so that's why हम information disclose नहीं कर सकते. So what this article is trying to say is कि जो RTI initially हम लाए थे for providing information to the people, ordinary citizens, now eventually the authorities have shifted it to a level with the context ki that it is now being said that the information is being denied, highlighting the right to privacy. That is the thing. मतलब हम reason दे रहे हैं right to privacy को. Along with that we also have the Digital Personal Data Protection DPDT Act, which has amended the 8J clause of the RTI. Okay, that is a drastic alteration of the 8J, the 8 clause J wala act, which is talking about the privacy related to a person. Right now there is the issue, there are conflicting definitions of who is a person, who is not. So that is what is a problem here कि हम इस मोड में आ गए हैं या अथॉरिटीज उस मोड में आ गई हैं that जो information initially पहले provide हो जाती थी, now we are in a denial mode. We are not giving that because they have highlighted that the DPDP bill and the definition of the DPDP bill with the right of persons, the privacy concern that has been raised and the change that has been brought in this section 8(1) clause J. Okay, so this is what has been mentioned. What has been the suggestions? Now they are saying there needs to be focus on 4 major issues. Number 1, the media and citizen engagement. There must be widespread public discussion across the country. Second, political accountability, that should be there. Third, public opinion. Okay, we need to build a strong public opinion with the support of the public, right, or the government and the media as well. So that is what all has been discussed in this article, right? So you can just go through the articles. The important parts that are important for you to understand have been highlighted in the article, right? So I think these are the articles for the day. Thank you very much. If you have any doubt, anything, just let me know. We'll see you again day after tomorrow. Keep revising and keep learning.